All right, everyone, we'd like to get started today. First of all, my name is Joshua Allen. I'm the marketing manager for Location3 Media. Just wanted to thank everyone for joining us for today's webinar, co-sponsored with Google, Integrated Digital Marketing for Franchise Systems in 2013. We apologize if you can hear the beeps for people signing in a little bit late on your end of the phone. We've tried to disable it, but unfortunately it looks like it's going to persist, at least for us. So before we get going, I just want to say we've got a lot of great content today prepared for you guys, and hope that everyone will walk away from this webinar with some new information. You'll notice the hashtag and the Location3 Twitter handle in the bottom left corner of your screen. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please send those directly to that hashtag or to our Twitter handle. We're going to be aggregating questions throughout the presentation and picking some choice ones to follow up with at the end. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce our two presenters today. First, from Google, we have Ty Schlegel. He's our Google Partner Trainer, and Ty is responsible for the education of Google's product, sales, and strategy for North American Premier SMB partners. We also have presenting today Location3 Media's Account Director, Ann Baum. Ann is responsible for providing strategic direction in paid search marketing and local business listings management for franchise and multi-unit businesses here at Location3. Before we get going, we figured everyone on the call today is pretty familiar with Google, but a little bit about Location3. We're a digital marketing partner built to increase your brand's findability and performance. Through strategic design, search marketing expertise, and the application of analytics, we raise awareness and generate response across all digital platforms for your brand. As a Google AdWords and Analytics certified partner, as well as a Google Premier SMB partner, we provide digital marketing strategy in the form of local listings management, pay-per-click advertising, SEO, display, mobile, social media, and creative design and development. We currently manage over 100,000 franchise and multi-unit business locations nationwide. So without further ado, I'd like to bring in Ty, and as well as Ann, to take it away.
Hey, thanks, Josh. Can everyone hear me? Josh, can you hear me?
Yep, we've got you on this end.
Very good, very good. I'd like to thank Location3 for asking me to join. I think we, like Josh said, we have a jam-packed presentation. Mainly, we want you to get out some of the research and trends we're seeing here at Google and start to think how you can capitalize on this. Obviously, Google is a search company, so this will be very search heavy, but we also have some great other engaging products out there that you can start to think about how you can incorporate this into your business. So without that, we'll start the presentation. So here's just a recap on what we're seeing with search. These numbers are actually out of date. It seems here at Google, by the time we get a good number, it's usually out of date. I just looked at what ComScore has us for the total number of searches per day across the world, and we're closer to 5 billion than this 1 billion plus. So a lot of people are searching worldwide. I know most of you guys are U.S. heavy, so what does that mean in the U.S.? Here's a stat. In December of 2011, 18.2 billion searches were conducted in the U.S. alone. 2 out of every 3 of those were on Google. And what it means for market share is, this is a worldwide stat, but obviously Google is the leader. And what does that look like? It's about 83.43% when this study was done. Our nearest competitor being Yahoo. Obviously that varies across locations. Like I said, in the U.S. it's about 2 in every 3. China is very, very small, where India is basically pretty much entirely Google. So when people are searching, what are they doing? We're actually finding lots of new terms. So people are searching for new information. In fact, we see about 16% of searches are new. Whether that is just a new way of searching for things, or something like Gangnam Style that a year ago we hadn't had a search, and that became one of the biggest search terms in 2012. So we're seeing new information. And they're looking pretty much every day. When we look at the adult population, As you can see, we're projected for this year to be about 73% of the adult population, but when we narrow that down to adult internet users, to those actually actively using the internet, we're at about 90%. So from our standpoint, there's about 10% growth potential there within adult internet users. How are people searching? This I'm going to quickly touch on a multi-device world, and we're going to talk about that later on in the presentation. But this is interesting on how people are searching. So obviously the day is usually maxed with desktop searches. But as you can see in both the red and the green, that the red would be tablet and the green is mobile, we still see searches on the tablet as well as mobile throughout the day. In the evening, though, when people have a choice between devices, so they're sitting at home and they have their laptop, they have their mobile phone, or they have their tablet, we're seeing tablet being the best as well as mobile phone. So people are choosing the tablet and the mobile phone when they have a choice. What does this mean in commerce? We see great potential with how searches and how internet research are influencing commerce. If you look at the stat, 94% of consumers research products before buying online. Think about the last big purchase you made, whether it was an automobile or even just a small purchase. Usually you go online, you read reviews. We're seeing this becoming a major trend in the industry. As well as it does mean for local information. So 97% use online media when they're researching products local. We see a lot of that with reviews, locations, any feedback they can get from that. But online continues to happen in the store. If you've ever been even in a grocery store and you see someone's nose buried into their phone, now not only are we researching ahead of time, but we're actually researching in the store for even insignificant items like cereal. We're looking at nutrition information, as well as big purchases like the automobile, where you're looking at prices and features and reviews. So how does this impact digital spend? If you look in 2008, digital accounted for about 21% of spend, whereas 2013 we're projecting for about a 10% increase. So we're seeing that advertisers are seeing great ROI. They know people are continuing to go online to do research or look for more information, and they're dedicating more dollars into digital. We wanted to jump into a few segments that we thought would cover most of you in the audience today. The first vertical, food and bev. Don't start squinting at the screen. I'll kind of sum it up. Basically, this is showing that queries and impressions across the board for food and bev are up about 29% for queries. But if you look at the right-hand column, we wanted to highlight mobile, and that's about 110% growth. So we're seeing huge potential with mobile, and I'll touch on this later in the presentation. But to sum it up, on average, 34% of search queries in Q4 of 2012 were made on a mobile device, and the clicks on mobile were about 37% less. So mobile's growing, and the cost per click, the CPC, is generally less than we see on desktop. Projections for food and bev, we're continuing to see it grow at about 20.7% if we take into account 2011 and 2012. Like I said, the majority of that growth is around mobile and tablet. We're seeing great growth here. So moving on to home services. You'll see a familiar trend here, as you saw earlier, but great growth. Queries are growing, impressions are growing, but mobile is the one spearheading the growth here. On average, we're seeing 26% increase on that, and there's great potential with the CPC. And home service growth, 21.3%, very similar growth to what we're seeing in food and bev. Moving on to hospitality, again, a very similar story. We're 29% of search queries in Q4 of 2012 were made on mobile devices, and there's a great potential to get 28% less on the CPC front. growth in hospitality industry in 2013, we're seeing good growth at about 17%, but just slightly less than what we're seeing in food and bev and home services. Ad spend, as I said, when we looked at the digital growth at about 10% growth in digital spend, we're seeing advertisers are seeing great ROI, so they're investing across the board. When we compare the three verticals, we're seeing food and bev and hospitality ad growth at around 31%. Home services is hanging around 19%. So great growth in all three industries.
Thanks, Ty. So I'm going to go ahead and hop into the integrated digital programs, the opportunities and examples. So really, when we think about digital integrated programs and where the opportunity is, first, we want to really look at the path to purchase in the 4 quadrants here: the awareness, education, direct response, and image. And basically, when you're putting together an offline campaign, you have to use multiple tactics in order to hit all of these quadrants. But when we look at the online segment, you can see here that search, display, and social media are all able to cover these quadrants together. So an integrated digital strategy is huge for your path to purchase and making sure you're getting in front of consumers. And again, when you're structuring your strategy, you need to think about, what does today's path to purchase look like? Well, it's changed over the years. It used to be a very linear model, and now it's very fluid. And it used to also be very brand directed, where now it's consumer directed. So what does that mean for brands? It means that they really need to utilize the content and calls to action to inform, support, and shape the buyer's journey. And looking at an example of what that path to purchase looks like, again, I mentioned that it's no longer a linear path, but really, there are multiple opportunities to get in front of your consumers, and not only multiple opportunities to get in front of them, but really a lot of areas that can be missed if you're not utilizing an integrated digital strategy. So what does this really mean for the franchise world? Well, managing the path to purchase for franchise systems requires a combined effort between franchisors and franchisees, and that's really what we're going to be talking about today, is how can franchise systems work together to manage this path to purchase in the most effective manner, so that the ultimate result is that you get franchise impact while maintaining the brand intact. So again, looking at several examples of how to manage the local path to purchase from a brand and a franchisee standpoint, these are some of the suggestions that we typically make when talking to franchise systems. So from the brand side, in order to help your franchisees have an integrated digital strategy and manage that path to purchase, we really recommend providing your store locations with a marketing plan that has approved branding collateral for individual use. These marketing plans can go out typically about once a quarter. They can also include a seasonal content calendar. And we find that these are really effective tools for your franchisees. The second thing we recommend brands do is that they manage local listings by centralizing at the corporate level. There are hundreds of places that location information can live online, so centralizing this on the corporate level is really a relief to your franchisees, that they don't have to go out and manage these things hundreds of places. Along with that, provide your franchisees with a website framework and CMS that allows for localized, customized content. They're really going to appreciate that they're able to take their location page and make it about their store. Develop a centralized social media strategy that ensures a consistent brand voice and is supported by store-level voice. A great way to do this is to make sure that all of the corporate social assets are active and claimed. That provides a great example for your franchisees to follow. And finally, provide incentives to your franchisees to manage their own paid search campaigns on a location-by-location basis. On the franchisee side, there are several things that they can do to also manage this path to purchase. So one, have them manage local paid search programs through an approved vendor, or if you have someone in-house, that will work as well. Have them update their local landing pages, again, to give them that local voice, but also keep the brand intact. Have them engage customers on the local social media channels while adhering to brand guidelines. Again, all of those brand guidelines would be in your marketing plan. And have them use social media as an extension of community-facing initiatives that they're already doing on a day-to-day basis. So looking a little bit more at these tactics, we'll be focusing right now on the local listings management and the local paid search, and we'll get into social media and SEO in a little bit. But the importance of managing local listings is really that accuracy and position are the keys to converting local customers. When your customers are looking for you, you want them to be able to find your individual franchise locations. So this is huge. And data managed by the corporate or partner means that there's data integrity and accuracy, which always leads to listing accuracy and typically top positions, again, meaning that you're going to be found. And I mentioned there are hundreds of places to manage location listing information, and here's just a snapshot of all of the places. So again, extremely important that this is managed on the corporate level to save your franchisees from having to go out and manage all of these location listings. As we talk about integrated digital strategies, really, this is what we're trying to achieve, at least on the search level, where your business is showing up in the paid, maps, and organic spots on the search engine results page. This is really key for your business, and the importance of page one positioning is huge. 75% of searchers don't ever scroll past the first page. Listings in the top position on page one for search results typically receive about 42% of the click-through traffic, and surprisingly, paid search ads provides 50% of incremental clicks even when a business ranks number one in the organic search results. Lots of times we hear people say, well, once I get all of my listings to, my organic listings up to number one, I'm going to take away my paid ads. Well, if you take away your paid ads, there are 50% of your clicks that you won't get back. So it really is important to use all of these strategies in unison. Again, the importance of why managing local listings at the corporate level is good. If listings aren't managed, this is what a listing can look like, pretty bare, no information. If it is managed at the corporate level, then it's going to look really good. This is a really great example of a company that has taken their listings, they've uploaded photos, they've uploaded information about the business, accurate information. Because the information is accurate, Google is able to associate reviews and scores to this particular location, and all of these listings are managed through Google Places. So this is a really pretty picture right here. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it back on to Ty to talk a little bit more about the opportunities in the paid search integration.
Great, thank you, Ann. As you can see, when we look at local search, I want you to start thinking about how what device we're searching on changes the way we interact or how we search. We wanted to highlight one thing when it comes to local search, because this pertains to a lot of your businesses, the difference we see between desktop and mobile. Desktop, 1 in every 5 searches have local intent, meaning they're looking for something locally, whereas in mobile, it's more like 1 in 3. Think about the ways you use your cell phone or your mobile phone, your smartphone, differently than how you use your desktop. Usually you're out and about, so you're searching for more local information. In July 2007, something amazing happened, and that was the introduction of the iPhone. Since then, as you can see the graph on the bottom, it's been an explosion in mobile. Mobile is our direction, Google's direction in 2013, and this will show you why. But it's not just mobile, it's also tablet. Tablet, we're seeing by the end of 2015, 1/3 of online Americans will own a tablet. So tablets are also becoming a preferred device with mobile phones. I wanted to talk a little bit about what we're calling the 4-screen world. The 4 screens being your smartphone, your tablet, your PC or your laptop, and your television. To use myself as an example, I own a smartphone, I own 2 tablets, and I have a PC and laptop and a television. So my interaction changed depending upon what device I'm using. In this example, we're looking at just average time spent per interaction, a smartphone being 17 minutes and all the way up to 43 minutes on your television. So we're seeing different changes of interaction, but we also, it's not just time, it's how we use it. Mobile phones, we use them more locally, we're out and about, location becomes a big deal. But also, what happens is we start searches or we start some sort of research with one device and we end it on the other. Think about the last time maybe you were making a purchase and you were looking up information on your mobile phone, but maybe you didn't feel comfortable going through with the purchase on your mobile phone, so you waited till you got home, you opened up your laptop, and you searched with it that way. So we're seeing this change with this multi-device world, where we're not just using one device, we're actually crossing between the two. And how we cross between the two, we're seeing search become a huge part of it. Think about the last video you watched. Maybe you were at work, you saw a video, but you couldn't watch it, so you waited till you got home, and then you searched for that video when you got home to watch it. We're seeing a lot of this happen not only with browsing on the internet or shopping, but videos. It kind of crosses across all spectrums. How these devices, what we're seeing and what the growth, obviously we talked a lot about mobile and how that's spearheading the growth of the industry. But when we look at retail and shopping, as you can see, average mobile in just before 2011 was around 10%. A year later it was 15%, and then a year we're seeing it 26%. So the growth is in mobile, but you can't ignore desktops because desktop still has the majority of the share. We're trying to make it easier for you to manage across all devices because all devices are important, and ultimately at the end of the day, you don't care how you get the conversion, you just want to get the conversion. You don't care what device it comes from. When we look at travel, we look at the same thing across mobile and desktop. The growth is in mobile, but desktop still owns the majority of those searches. And drink and beverage, again, we're seeing a bigger growth, mobile becoming a bigger part of drink and bev, probably because that's very local and location is a big part of that, but desktop still owns that majority. So as you think of how we interact with different devices, think about how you can capture that. If you're on the mobile phone, and we're seeing that smartphones are a huge portion of search queries and just online interaction, we see that 89% of consumers use a smartphone every day, but yet 79% of brands don't have a mobile website. What does this mean? Think about the last time you clicked on an ad on your smartphone and you were driven to a website that wasn't optimized. What I mean by that, you had to scroll in with your fingers, click on something, scroll back over. It wasn't very easy to use on your mobile phone. And we're seeing a good portion of people will then back out of the website due to a poor performance or a non-mobile optimized site. So suggestion, make it simple for users to find a store. And here's a great example of a YouTube ad for Nordstrom. With one click, you're driven to the ad landing page that's optimized. With another click, you're driven to Google Maps to check out a location. So within that, it's 3 clicks to be driven to the local store. This is a great example of how you can utilize your mobile phone for success. If your goal is in-store sales, Google does provide, we just want to highlight a few here on how you can utilize Google to help drive those in-store sales. First one being the hyper-location extension. This is a map that pops up so users can very easily identify where the location is and how close it is to them. We're finding great interaction when you're using this hyper-local extension, as well as offer ads, providing some sort of incentive to drive a user to the store, and bid by distance. Think about your location. If a user is right around the corner from your franchise restaurant, is that user more valuable to you than if the user was 30 miles away? And in fact, we're seeing the closer they are, the more relevant of a user it is, so we're providing a bid by distance feature. With that, I'll pass it off to Ann, who's going to go to paid search and display.
Thanks, Ty. So, when we started off, we looked at the path to purchase and how traditional marketing, TV, radio, etc., kind of fit into those quadrants. So now I wanted to talk a little bit about how search actually influences TV, radio, and print. So search really does increase the efficiency of offline media. You can see here that adding search to other media typically increases all of the media efficiency and impacting brand values. So again, as we talk about integrating digital strategies into your marketing solutions for your franchise systems, it's important to remember that we're not suggesting to totally replace offline with digital, but that it will actually act as an enhancement to those offline campaigns. And search really, it drives offline conversions. So 89% of consumers are looking for products online, but 93% of purchases are done offline. And this is huge when we're talking about the franchise environment, especially if you have retail locations, because franchisees want feet in the door and they want people to be making purchases in their locations. So search is a great driver for those offline conversions. The philosophy of search is typically that search gives you a specific answer to a specific problem, question, or opportunity. And it's really an intent-based behavior. And typically we see that search drives the highest level of conversions at the lowest cost. So it's really important to have in your integrated digital strategy. Along with utilizing search, it's also about utilizing search properly for the franchise environment. So really, when we're asking franchisees to have their individual pay-per-click campaigns, they're going to be templatized in a sense. They're going to follow brand standards. They're going to typically contain the same products and services, but that's where the templatization ends and the customization comes in for each of those locations, because we do know that each location really is a small business owner operating under a brand name. So campaigns can be customized in several ways. One, the keywords can be modified to include the appropriate geo-modifier for a franchise location. The products and services can also be customized slightly based on their offerings. The targeting, this is going to be a huge part of franchise systems, because most franchise systems in the franchise agreements have marketing guidelines that the franchisees need to follow, and Google does a nice job. They have many different targeting options that I'll talk about in a minute, but this is huge when we're talking about franchisees complying with their guidelines. Budget assessment is also going to be important, because this really is going to depend not only on what franchisees are willing to pay, but also their area and the products and services that they're offering. The ad copy, again, there's going to be customization. Ty talked a little bit about those features. Landing page, this is going to be huge as well. We talked before about letting the franchisees control their location page through a CMS. The landing page is typically going to be the same, where the pay-per-click landing page will be that location page, and it's going to reflect their location directly. And then finally, reporting, so making sure that the franchisees have a way to see the impact of their pay-per-click dollars at work. So I mentioned that I would talk a little bit more about the marketing territory compliance and the options in Google to meet these standards. So Google has many different targeting options. They have zip code targeting, they have city targeting, they have radius targeting, they have DMA targeting, they have congressional district targeting, and they even have airport targeting. So many ways to find solutions to make sure that the system as a whole is complying with those marketing guidelines. Along with that, something else we wanted to talk about more were the tools for success. So ensuring that the franchisees have a way to see how their pay-per-click dollars are being spent, and making sure that they can control the budget that's being put toward pay-per-click is very important. So here's an example of a portal that could be used for franchisees to sign up, allocate budgeting dollars to pay-per-click, click the services that they want to utilize. And then along with them being able to sign up in that portal, they're also able to see reporting for their individual location. So we have basic pay-per-click metrics here, as well as you're able to portal in lead and call information so that they know exactly how their money is being spent. And one of our favorite things over here ever for franchise systems is call tracking. Typically what we see is that of all of the online actions taken from pay-per-click for franchisees, about 70 to 90% of those actions are phone calls. So letting your franchisees have a way to see the phone calls that are coming in from pay-per-click and putting that against their pay-per-click spend is vitally important, because if you're not showing them that information, again, they're not getting about 70 to 90% of the picture of what's going on with their pay-per-click campaign. So once you have a solid search strategy in place, it's also really important to not forget about display. We talk about paid search a lot, but the time spent online, only about 5% of time online is actually spent searching, where 95% of time is spent doing other things. So that's where display comes in, and that's where you're able to reach a majority of the consumers online, is by having a strong display tactic. And the display philosophy, there are a couple portions, is that data really drives display, which in turn drives awareness. The awareness is going to drive intent, and the intent is going to drive action. So, overall, display is a huge part of the purchase funnel. A couple other great things about display is that it drives direct engagement. So after users are exposed to a display ad, again, think about those 95% of people that aren't searching but are doing something else online. They're 80% more likely to click on a sponsored link. They're 140% more likely to click on a natural search result, and they're 268% more likely to visit your website. So pairing your search strategy with a display strategy is really important. And it's great too, because the Google Display Network has many features that allow you to target people throughout the purchase funnel. And not only that, but the GDN is also able to be targeted on a geographic level the same way that search is. So it's still complying with those geographic marketing guidelines that the franchisees have. And finally, Google Display Network, some more information about how they perform is that typically a search plus display campaign gets about 22% more conversions compared to search-only campaigns, and typically the GDN drives greater brand lift as well. And now I'm going to pass it back over to Ty.
Great, thank you, Ann. We're gonna touch on social SEO, content, and design, but first is social. There's no doubt social is a huge part of our online experience. I think the numbers alone, with all the different social networks that are out there, should be compelling enough. But Google Plus, what Google Plus is a social element and a social layer to everything Google. So we know that people come to search on Google. People use other Google products such as Gmail and YouTube to help interact, and what we've done is taken a social element or a social identity to enhance the experience. Just to let you know a little bit about Google Plus, in January we overtook Twitter as the number 2 social network. We have about 625,000 people joining every day. We're seeing a lot more interaction with it because people are used to coming to our products, but they're finding this great social element to help enhance their experience. 40% of marketers are using Google+, 70% want to learn more about it. I think people are very intrigued, but we don't know exactly, or they don't know exactly how to use it. So a few suggestions on the Google Plus end is there are 2 different ways to interact with your followers and how to engage on Google Plus. You can do the +1 button, which integrates with a lot of Google across the board, which I'll show a little bit later. But you can have users +1, which notifies us that that user likes your brand or experience or whatever you're posting out there. The other way is from a following standpoint. So you can have users follow you, and that way you can interact with them then after maybe you use advertising, and then afterwards there's a loyalty aspect where you can interact with them past that point. Biggest thing is giving your fans a megaphone. So the +1 button, which I talked about, if you can see all these different things. So they can +1 your brand, they can +1 your ads, they can +1 your videos. There's all these different ways that you can interact with your audience out there, and now Google's giving the users a voice where they can notify their followers that they like this experience or like this video or like this, where they +1 it, and then that is integrated across the board. So the Google +1, in this example, Best Buy is advertising on an SEN, the Android phone. As you can see, there's a gray button with the +1. As a user, if you like this ad and you think this is relevant, you can +1 that. And you could also then see other people that have engaged in that way. If you can see this, if these are your friends, Carrie, Christian, and Chris, and 150 other people have liked this or +1 this Android phone offer. This helps us send a signal that this is very relevant, and it helps the user understand that this is relevant if all these people are +1ing it. So it's a great way to interact with them across Google's products. What +1s do, they increase performance. If you're aware of SEM or search engine marketing, the CTR or the click-through rate is very relevant because that tells us, that notifies us if users think a particular ad is relevant, and as well as it can decrease your CPC. So we're seeing, with using the +1, we're seeing a 5 to 10% average increase on CTR search ads. So we suggest using this in order to decrease your CPC. And I'll pass it off to you for SEO.
Thanks, Ty. So as we go into search engine optimization, really first we want to talk about the 3 components of search engine optimization, and then we're going to talk about how they relate to managing the local path to purchase on the brand and franchisee level. So the 3 segments of search engine optimization, first you start with website optimization. So this includes things like making sure that you're optimized for specific keywords, making sure your title tags are up to date, your URL structure is properly put in place, metadata, images, etc. About 25% of the organic ranking factors are influenced by website optimization. Next, we move into content development. So this includes things like blog, product service categories, subpages, resource section, etc. And then we move on to distributing the content that you've created in the content development portion. And content, by the way, is going to be on-site and off-site content. But then you move into content distribution, and that includes pushing your content out using things like your brand website, the brand social media assets, press release optimization, and some other factors. And the content distribution and content development together account for about 50% of the organic ranking factors. When we look at this on the next level, which is the brand and franchisee level, really on the website optimization standpoint, it's really the brand's responsibility to ensure that all of these factors are properly in place, along with ensuring that there is a CMS to allow the franchisees to manage their own brand pages. When we go to content development, again, really more of a brand responsibility at the start. Managing product, service, category, subpages can be done by the franchisees, but only if the brand has provided a CMS. The blog, typically done on the national level. Blogs can be on the local level as well, but you have to really make sure that the content being developed is unique for each of those local blogs. And then from a content distribution standpoint, the one local franchisee level thing that really sticks out here is link building. So franchisees, because they're so involved with the community, have lots of predetermined link building opportunities. So if they're part of a chamber of commerce, or if they've been involved with a charity event or something to that nature, that's a really easy link building opportunity. So as we talk about SEO and content, we can't leave out the design factor. So really, as the worlds of design and content and SEO collide, findability requires a choreographed effort. And what this means is that a design strategy should not be implemented without first thinking about your content and SEO strategy. So many times we have clients coming to us after they've built a brand new website and they say, okay, my website is done, can you make it SEO friendly? And we can, but it's really much easier and much more beneficial to the brand and the franchisees if you bring in the content and SEO pieces during the design and development process of your website, because they do all work together. Talking a little bit more about the website optimization, I just wanted to show examples of unique local pages and the do's and don'ts of creating local pages for your franchisees on your website. So on the left we have an example of a no local page. Basically, the way that this page is created is through dynamic creation. So when someone puts in the Find a Store, they put in a zip code or city that they'd like to find a store in, this page is automatically generated. So what this means is that this URL, as it is, doesn't live anywhere. This content doesn't live anywhere that it can be indexed by the search engines. It's dynamically generated every time someone does a search. So it means that there isn't an opportunity for your location pages to rank from an SEO standpoint or even be crawled by the search engines. On the right hand side is a great yes example of a location page built for a particular location. So first, looking at the URL, you can see that it's been structured properly. It has both geography terms as well as product terms in it. When you look at the actual page, you can see that it has content, it has information about the location. It also incorporates the current site navigation, which can be a factor for SEO. So definitely some good tips on do's and don'ts when you're thinking about creating local pages for your website. Talking about the control that you can give your franchisees a little bit more, talking about brand site framework. So basically, as we've spoken about, providing your franchisees with a content management system through your website so that they can manage their local pages is extremely important. One, it gives them an opportunity to really express themselves on a local level. So there's still the brand control where it's following all of the brand aspects, it's following the site navigation, it fits into the URL structure, but you're telling your franchisees, we've provided you this area to really make a website and a location page your own, because although each of the franchisees falls into the brand, they are going to have differences. They're going to offer different products and services. They might have different operating hours, providing them with the CMS is a great thing for them. It allows them to update their product listings, their images and videos, and add custom content by location. As we move from our visual of SEO from the website optimization portion to the content portion, we really just wanted to talk a little bit more about why content is so important to the search engines, and there are really two reasons. One, properly formatted content is the substance that search engines crave when crawling your site. So really, it's helping the engines match your business up to searchers' needs. And second, content provides a natural way for your site to organically generate backlinks. You're creating content that answers a question for searchers. It's getting indexed in the search engine results page, and it's leading people to your brand because it's providing a need in their everyday searches. A little more about content marketing is that it really is about educating and inspiring people enough to do business with you. Really, we can create content about a brand and push it out all day long, but nothing that comes out of a brand's mouth will influence searchers as much as what comes from the people actually engaging with your brand. So, really it's not about you anymore. Content is about utility, and it goes back to, don't create content that's just pushing out information that you think is important about your brand, but really understand what your customers need online and find out a way to create and deliver that for them. A good example of this is to look at question forums, for example, and see what types of questions people are asking about your products, and then create a content piece that answers those questions. Because people are online searching for those answers anyway, why not provide them a piece of content that's answering a question they're looking for? And And really just to hit the point home about content is, here's a great quote from one of the social gurus of our time, Jay Baer. He says, "Sell something and you make a customer today, but help someone and you make a customer for life." And this goes along with our content piece, but this goes along with our whole integrated digital marketing strategies that we've been talking about today, and really managing the path to purchase from a brand and a franchisee standpoint, because every place that you can put yourself in front of a customer, every opportunity you give your franchisees to connect with their customers and protect the brand, all of that is helping the brand build a customer for life. So with that, we're going to talk a little bit about looking forward in 2013 and some of the new Google products and events that are coming up. So the first thing that we've really enjoyed seeing coming out in 2013 is really thinking about location targeting and extensions. So Google is constantly thinking of ways to reach the local searcher. A great one that came out around Christmas time actually was airport targeting. So you're able to target travelers that are in the airport. Everyone is on their tablet or phone or computer when they're in their airport waiting for a flight. And also when they're making plans, maybe they want a rental car when they land or something to that effect. So this airport targeting is really a great way to target that niche traveler audience. And then also now location extensions and site links are showing together, so you're no longer having to just tell someone that you're a local business by having a location extension. You're also now able to have site link extensions to tell them more about your business. So it makes for a really clean, nice looking ad, and it gives the consumers more information about the brand than they previously had. And that includes making that location extension easier to use with the larger, more useful map. It used to show up on the bottom of the ad, but now it shows up on the side when you click on it. The next thing is calls innovation. So we talked earlier when we were talking about call tracking that we typically see about 70 to 90% of actions taken from pay-per-click, local pay-per-click, are phone calls. So Google's also recognized this trend, and they've come out with a couple of great call innovations. So first is the click to call button. You can see it on the ad there, making it easy for searchers on their mobile phone to instantly connect with a business. They're also expanding the availability of Google call forwarding numbers. In the enhanced campaigns, they are also taking that cost away to make call tracking really accessible to the masses. And then also call extensions for in-app ads. So again, mobile ads for the GDN were always available, but now they're just adding more functionality to those ads. And finally, they have Universal Analytics, which is in beta right now, but I think this really hits home with some of the things, some of the trends that Ty was talking about earlier, how people are moving from screen to screen to screen pretty seamlessly, how they're starting a search online, but they're finishing the purchase offline. So the Universal Analytics will help you measure how people are actually becoming and remaining loyal customers, and it does this in a couple ways. So first, consumers that use multiple devices, it's going to seamlessly send your own data about customers back and forth to your analytics account. Secondly, learning more about the mobile world. So providing mobile app analytics has been delivering great results for clients, but now it's going to allow you to measure your marketing more holistically. So again, that screen to screen experience. Along with that is the cross-channel measurement. It's really essential. So Universal Analytics is going to let you sync your own data from across various marketing channels so that you're not just getting the Google picture, you're getting the whole picture. And finally, they recognize that your business is unique. So really use Universal Analytics to integrate your own data and customize the metrics so that it fits your need. Because although it's important for everyone to have an integrated digital marketing solution, it has to fit your business. There isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. It's going to be very dependent on your customers and how they're looking for you and gathering information about you online. So the more that you can find ways to store and analyze that information, which is a feature that Universal Analytics will have, the easier it will be for you to customize your own integrated digital marketing solution.
All right, thanks, Ann. Well, I think that about does it for the day today. I also want to thank Ty Schlegel as well. We had some great content here this afternoon. If you have any follow-up questions for either Ty or Ann about this presentation or just franchise digital marketing in general, feel free to contact them at the email addresses. You can also find us at location3.com or tweet at us at any time at location3 on Twitter. We always love to engage, and we wish everyone the best of luck with their franchise digital marketing initiatives in 2013. Thanks.